Okay.
And hello, everybody. Welcome to WD Carousel of Podcast. My name's Crystal.
And I'm Ian.
And today we are going to be talking about Stan Lee. Now, Stan Lee, we started very peppy, very up and happy, but unfortunately, the god of the Marvel Comics universe, the creator of comics as we know it, has passed away. He passed away yesterday, and everybody is devastated, including myself.
Yes, me as well.
I mean, I found out when I was sitting at a mall, and I had to quietly just sit there reading Facebook, mourning to myself.
Yeah.
It was very shocking. I mean, yes, we knew he was old.
Yeah.
But it's just, it was unexpected.
Yes, absolutely was unexpected. And as a person who loves just kind of the entertainment industry and being able to kind of get away from it all and stuff, he was just kind of the master of kind of creating that whole world, and it was something that I really looked up to.
Well, he was really the creator of characters that you can relate to.
Yes, absolutely. Characters that you both aspire to, but also can see yourself in, and it's really, he really had a big impact, and it's very, very sad to see that.
So this is going to be our homage episode to Stan Lee, and everybody's kind of wondering, well, why are you talking about Stan Lee when you are a Disney channel?
Yes.
Well, we're not quite a Disney channel like the Disney Channel, but I'm sorry, we're not that cool yet.
Don't sue us, Bob Iger. Thank you.
But Disney still has a big connection to Stan Lee, and it's something that I feel that we should really pay attention to, give props to, and recognize for the work that was done.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I think that one of the things that I really liked about him was kind of how he just got in. He just was excited about, he wanted to be a novelist, he loved stories.
He still aspired to make the great American novel. I don't understand people that are like, I'm going to write the great American novel.
Okay, Mark Twain, calm down.
What is that? What does that entail?
Is that
I don't get it. But
yeah, so he came in, started working for a little comic book or comic company, comic studio. And
what was it called?
It was
Timely?
Timely, yeah.
Timely Comics.
We don't have notes down there. What are you talking about?
Oh no, I just happened to have my eyes drift.
Just drifting
slowly.
But yeah, so he worked for this Timely Comics. And he started off as just janitor? Like he was just kind of
No, he didn't start off quite as janitor, but he was definitely someone who refilled the inkwells and erased the pencil lines after comics had been inked.
Right. He was
small work.
Yeah, the little minutia of the day-to-day stuff, and it wasn't long before he jumped in and he became the editor.
He started there in, looking at my notes, 1939.
Jeez.
But then he became editor at the age of 19.
That's crazy.
Which is ridiculous. And then they had just put him as editor interim until they found someone, but they liked his process so well they kept him in there as editor-in-chief, which is amazing. It's an amazing accomplishment for someone who's 19 years old.
Right. It's incredible. I mean, I'm 25 and I've got a podunk Disney podcast. That's where I've gotten in my life.
I love our Disney podcast.
I know.
We do this for us.
Me too.
That's always been the case.
This is true. But as a person, it's just wow, he became the editor of a comic studio by the time he was 19.
Yeah, but
that's
at that
incredible.
time it wasn't that big of a deal. I mean, people in the 40s and 30s really didn't give much credence to comics anyways.
Right, they weren't the art form.
I mean, they gave him his first comic strip to start editing in 1941 with Captain America. So, I mean, they were like, okay, you can go ahead and try it, kid. You've been here for 2 years. Let's see what you can do.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't too much long after that, though, that he really was able to show his strength and get going with the company, which is amazing. I found out through some research that we do before every podcast, that in a 2006 interview that he did, he said a lot of his early work was based on Errol Flynn. Now, I'm not sure if you're familiar with a lot of the Earl Flynn movies of the time.
Only
They're black and white and everything. But he was very swashbuckler.
Yes.
Robin Hood. The
swashbuckling story.
For the good, and we're going to defeat evil sort of situation.
I gotcha.
This is a sword that I guess I'm, like, fencing with someone in front of
Sorry,
the
people
camera.
are just listening to audio. I don't know what
I'm not trying to stab you with my thought, my promise. But that was one of his early influencers for how he connected to comics and how he tried to make his characters and his heroes a little bit more relatable.
Yes. Yeah, it's... words.
He also joined the army in 1942, and he did some minor stuff there, but eventually his official military designation is, what is it? It's playwright.
Traveling bard.
There's only 9 people in the U.S. military that have the designation of playwright, which
hilarious.
he was very proud to distinguish himself against.
That's pretty awesome. If I'm honest, like if I was going to join the military, that would be the one to.
He was doing like training film videos and comics and that sort of thing, just trying to keep the army's morale up while he was there. He left in 1945, so it's not like he was there for a very long time, which is saying something because I've never been in the army for 3 years, so he's done a lot more than me. But
That's true.
And during that time was World War II as well, so there was a lot of morale boosting that needed to happen when everything was going on with the world, and it was just crazy.
Jump back to our podcast about World War II and Disney, which was an interesting self-referencing. I'll link it somewhere.
But his first, let's go back. So he came back and he started working on his own characters, and his first set of original characters was Fantastic Four, which is pretty cool. I mean, I love the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
You're talking about Mr. Fantastic and the Thing, and they're just recognizable characters.
Yeah.
With some really bad movies out there.
Some really bad movies. Are they going to find their way into the MCU as we know it today? Or?
They do. I mean, they have a couple sets of movies.
I know, but
and they have a remake, which is not as good.
In the overall current
I'm
full
sure
MCU,
they'll be redone.
Put in there.
Everything's being redone. How many Spider-Mans do we have?
Too many Spider-Man.
I mean, it's going to happen. I can guarantee it's going to happen.
What are they going to do with the Human Torch? That'd be kind of fun. They'll have to do just a full recasting. That'll be kind of awkward.
Captain America
How are they going to figure that one out?
The Human Torch.
That's ridiculous. I don't know how it's going to happen.
But that's okay. It's going to happen.
It's going to be recast anyway. But
especially with the stylization that's been happening recently and the world that they've created, it would just make sense for them to fit in
just
eventually.
Start over. Yeah.
But the first, he was also, and this is a big plus towards him, which is part of the reason why everybody knows Stan Lee, is he was the first to give a credit page in every single one of his comics, giving acknowledgement to the story writers, the artists, the inkers, everybody that had touched it in the creative process. Their name was included, and that's how everybody knows Stan Lee. Is his name was very prolific through almost every single comic he touched.
Even with the respect of the people that worked under him, just knowing that he wanted to work for Stan Lee, because then you'd get the credit, and that was true of early video games too. What am I reading? Oh, yes. So
subtle
it was
side note.
very subtle. That'll get cut later, but you live people will be able to see it.
The whole zero
view. He kind of pioneered a entire method of handling creating a story from scratch, where the artists actually got to work and do their kind of drawing and all that process in line with while the writers were working too. Mm-hmm. So they kind of all got to work at the same time and then put it together at the very end, which gave a lot of creative freedom on both sides. And so it created more dynamic and more more collaborative stories, and it became known as the Marvel method. And so a lot of other places took that on after he had pioneered it.
Yeah, he'd give them like a general outline of the theme and then a number of pages that needed to be drawn, and then the artists would go through and create this entire storyline through images and fill up those pages, and then they would go back and create the little word bubbles, as we know, and the little side comments, and the bam and the wham and all of those guys. That's where the Marvel method really excelled, because it gave everybody creative ownership of the story, which is something that was pioneering at that time.
Right. Combine that with the full credit page of everyone that worked on it. It really completely changed the way that, you know, people took on comics entirely, and I think that that's why he's so important in the industry as well. It's not just as the worlds he created, but the fact that he actually made a gigantic lasting impact on comics themselves.
I also love how every month he would add in they called it the Stan soapbox, and what it would be Stan Lee going in there and commenting on things like the world right now and the way that everybody's interpreting his comics, answering some questions, and his closing tagline, his trademark, he'd always end with his motto of Excelsior, which was fabulous. And it's something where people who don't read the comics, and I'll admit, I was not one that sat there when I was younger and would like grab them and read page by page by page those guys. I mean, I did read comics growing up, but I wasn't as diehard of a follower as some people. But you know, Stan Lee was definitely a name that stood out to me, and that phrase is just one that blew up my Facebook yesterday when everybody was commenting. They were just wanting to give his tagline, his motto at the end of every soapbox that he would give, that Excelsior, that was a big thing. And it's wonderful to see everybody giving homage to Stan Lee and his creative process during this.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you know, the other thing is at this point, we have not talked anything about Disney, which, don't worry, we're getting there. Because, as you may or may not know, there's been a series of some relatively successful movies that Disney produced under the Marvel Studios name. Yes, believe it or not, there's been quite a few of them, officially starting with Iron Man. So that was the official beginning of the MCU as we know it.
I know that
technically Iron Man.
Disney acquired Marvel in 2009
yes.
for a ridiculous dollar amount.
What was that, like $4.42 billion? With a
Bill.
B.
I'm just a bill. Yes, I'm only a bill.
That is an obscene amount of money, but
That's
I suspect
crazy.
They've probably done okay on the other end because they've made a lot of money off of that franchise.
I'm sure they have.
It's incredible, and the fact that they've been able to spin, because they've acquired so much of the IP, they've been able to spin in everybody
and connect everybody, just like the people who read the comics books are able to connect the different verses together, the multiverses together. You're able to see Doctor Strange mixing with Iron Man, mixing with Black Panther, mixing with everything. And it's so exciting to see them in the last few years.
You need a company that huge as Disney and Marvel together to, you know, get that many A-list celebrities on the screen together, because that's crazy. And you know, like with Infinity War, it was just there were so many people, so many active players in that movie. That was
amazing.
It's incredible. And so the fact that Marvel, you know, and Stan Lee pioneering all these characters and then being able to bring them to Disney, and then Disney does what it does best. They take characters, especially on pages and the written word and everything, and be able to bring them to life in a way that's so over the top and so compelling that it was
not just
really
to talk
cool
about those movies, but Stan Lee made sure that he had his little stamp in every single movie. And I'm sure that you've seen online and through your Facebook and everything, the people who have put together the videos of every single Stan Lee spotlight in every single movie. I think his first cameo appearance happened in 1989, and the movie, let me actually make sure that I get it correctly here. It was I know it was a Hulk movie. It was The Trials of the Incredible Hulk, which, by the way, if you've seen that movie, the Hulk looks completely different with a mullet than he does as we know him now.
I have not seen that
movie.
And
it wasn't CGI either. It was just a big guy representing him that they painted green with a bad wig and everything. But he showed up.
Yeah,
but I have to say, my first experience with seeing Stan Lee in a cameo was Mallrats, which is not Marvel attached, but it's still one of my favorites. I mean, I love all of those. I mean, come on. Mallrats is a Minnesota-based movie. It was filmed here in our Eden Prairie Mall, and so you can still go to the elevator, you can still go to the escalator, you can do all of those guys. But he was sitting there talking, and I think that's one of his longest cameos as well, because he sits there talking about how a relationship is between Spider-Man and Gwen Stacy in there, and he's having this full conversation. And I mean, it's an amazing cameo, but you can find him in almost any Marvel movie.
Right. Oh, I think every Marvel movie especially since the Disney acquisition.
And animations. I know he was in The Simpsons.
He was in The Simpsons.
I know he was...
Believe it or not, he was actually in the Big Hero 6.
Yep, he was in Big Hero 6
as Disney animated
as dad
to the skater one,
the beach bum
guy,
college rich kid.
Yeah, he was great. Yeah, and you never know when he's gonna show up, and sure enough, they had a Stan Lee.
Well, because Big Hero 6 was Marvel.
Marvel, absolutely.
Which most people don't realize either. That's a movie that Disney was able to animate from the Marvel universe.
Right, and I love that movie. I don't know, that it got maybe the precedent deserved, but I don't
feel I did.
Yeah, it seemed like it was a really good film. It was the debut of their Hyperion rendering engine, and it was such a cool film, and it was Marvel.
And you identify with Baymax too.
I love Baymax. I'm not fast, but
well, no, I am not fast.
Neither of us are fast, but you win.
Hairy baby.
Yeah. Anyway, so it's amazing the kind of world that pairing those two companies together and what Stan Lee created and then brought through to Disney has been really amazing.
But he's been such a part of Disney life anyways.
Right.
I mean, he even showed up in The Princess Diaries too. He was a delegate at the wedding, and they talk about him, they say that he learned English off of the Three Stooges movies, and then he makes Three Stooges references, which is awesome.
Of course.
But, he's been in so many things, and he's been such a part of our life that it's...
Yeah, he's ubiquitous in American society. Worldwide, but... It's just, you can't have seen pop culture without having Stan Lee somewhere in it.
And so 2017, Disney decided to bring him into the Disney Legends program, which is a program that they came up with saying that these are people that are extraordinary and integral.
Yeah, that's right.
Integral to the Walt Disney Company and its creation and contributing and all of that. And so he was inducted in 2017 at the D23 Expo.
Yep.
Which not a lot of people. There wasn't even one in 2016, which I found out, but they inducted him in 2017.
Right.
To really give him the status and precedence and really recognize all of the work that he's given to not just everybody, but also the Disney company in general, because they've been part of each other since 2009. So that's 9 years now that he's been part of Disney too.
And I could be wrong here, but I think Iron Man was 2006. So they actually had a partnership.
Influence, yeah.
Yeah, they had a partnership and they'd produced stuff with each other prior to the acquisition, so they already had a relationship. And so it's really an amazing pairing, and it's hard for us to come in as a Disney podcast and not be like, Stan Lee had a huge impact on some of the stuff that we've seen. Not to mention the fact that in the parks, because parks, they are doing... the Ellen's Energy Adventure is becoming a Guardians of the Galaxy ride, and they've got, I'm a little mad about that, but it's really cool.
Well, and they've also switched out the Tower of Terror in Disneyland as well to Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right.
And there's going to be a lot more Marvel influence within the parks as well. It's it's part of the Disney brand now.
Yeah.
It is Disney brand.
It's Disney brand. So,
and that's why we felt that we needed to acknowledge the amount of stuff that this man, Stan Lee, has done for the entertainment world as we know it.
Yeah.
Even Bob Iger, the CEO of Disney, made a comment yesterday saying that Stan Lee was a superhero in his own right. I mean, he was a superhero.
Came from nothing, was able to, rose up through and became like one of the biggest pioneers. Legendary. And became a pioneer in the entertainment industry as we know it. It's pretty amazing.
Someone who deserves respect, and he was kind. My biggest regret is that I'll never be able to meet him now.
Yeah.
But he is a fabulous person. I know plenty of people who have met him, been inspired by him. I know actual comic artists who are, were inspired to take up the pen just because of his story and the amount of work that he's done.
Right.
And it's just amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. We're deeply saddened, but it's an amazing legacy that he was able to leave behind. So
we're happy to acknowledge him, and he has earned our respect.
Absolutely.
And really, we just want to say thank you so much, Stan Lee, for giving us the inspiration to dream and imagine and to be our own superheroes. We can imagine ourselves being these characters.
Yes.
And it helped strengthen me so much as a child. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah. Absolutely. He was a cool dude and a superhero. So, all right. Well, on that note,
thank you so much for listening and watching. And I want to hear what your connection is to Stan Lee. I want to know how he inspired you, how he really influenced your life, if it was just through the movies, which is
absolutely fine,
wonderful and amazing, or if it's something that you really got in there and rooted for his interpretation of Spider-Man and how real he made him and everything. I mean, just let us know, because we want to hear your stories too. So go ahead and message us, comment, and I look forward to reading those. I know you do as well.
Absolutely.
And this has been WD Carousel of Podcast. My name's Crystal.
And I'm Ian.
And I hope you guys have a great, big, beautiful tomorrow.
Great, big, beautiful tomorrow. Just a dream away.